Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cheryl and today I'm here to bring you my spoiler-free review for In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. Now, I don't read much nonfiction on my channel and I'm really hoping to change that because, I don't know, I always enjoy nonfiction when I read it. I just don't pick it up because you never really get it hyped on Booktube, and that is really what kind of guides my reading sometimes. I see books that are super popular and I'm like, oh, I gotta pick it up. And then stuff like this falls on the wayside. That being said, this is one of the few nonfiction books I have seen talked about a fair amount on Booktube. So that's really what introduced me to this book. And I found it on Book Outlet for super cheap. And it was a nice floppy paperback. So obviously I had to pick it up. And I do not regret that decision. This book is heart-wrenching. I knew that going into it because it is the story of Park's escape from North Korea. She escapes with her mother, and the journey this girl goes on to escape North Korea and ultimately end up in South Korea is just, it's heart-wrenching. I don't really know another word for it. I almost cried like 7 different times while reading this book, both in the happy moments and in the sad moments, because I was rooting for her. I was like, I need to know what's gonna happen, because obviously, you know, she ends up in South Korea. She says that in the prologue, and it says it on the back too. But you're just like, how does she go from point A to point B? And it was just, it's eye-opening, because we always hear about North Korea, and at least in the United States with our current political climate and everything going on, you inevitably kind of start laughing at the North Korean regime because of all of his like crazy empty promises, like I'm gonna nuke you guys 10,000 times, like all of these like insane politics. It's very easy to forget that there are people in the regime, there are people living in North Korea still who are just suffering. They're starving, they can't speak out, they can't do anything, and they're living in what is basically a dystopia. And you really could feel that reading this book, because she talked about how like one of her only sources of entertainment growing up were smuggled in wrestling TV, like wrestling DVDs, or I guess VHSs, just wrestling tapes, things like that, or that they had hardly any food. And just, there were so many elements you see when you read a YA dystopian novel that are just like, this is what she lived. And when she got to North Korea, and when she got to South Korea, and how she had to take classes to learn how to live in the 21st century despite having lived in the 21st century. It's a hard book to read, but I think it's an important one because it is a crisis that's still going on. There are still people to this day who are regularly trying to escape from North Korea, and it also deals with the very, very difficult topic of human trafficking. So if you are very sensitive to topics like abuse, rape, that kind of thing, and human trafficking, I know that's hard for some people to read about. I would hesitate to recommend this book to you because, like I said, it deals with, she doesn't shy away from these topics. But at the same time, I think if you're able to stomach it, you should read this book because it was just so immensely moving. And I just want to give this to everyone to read it, even though, like I said, it took everything I had not to just start bawling on the couch. I read this all in one day, and it was just her narrative and the way she told the story. That is her life. Like I said, I was rooting for her every step of the way. I was crying, I was super emotional when she succeeded and when she was happy. Just as emotional when things were not going right. Like I said, it's scary to think about the people who are still living in this regime with a dictator who is as crazy as he is. But yes, if you like nonfiction, I would recommend this one. It's not very long. It's only like about 250 pages. It's very easy to read. Like I said, her style of writing is very emotional and gripping, but it's not dense. It's very easy to get through. Getting kind of excited. That being said, because it is such a heavy topic, if I wasn't reading it during a readathon, I don't know if I could have read it all in one sitting. I think I would have taken breaks in between, and I should have, because it took me a lot to process this book. Even now, like a week plus later, I'm just like, wow. And it was so good. I knew it was going to be good going into it because I'd heard so many people talk highly about it. So many people I follow on Booktube and on Goodreads gave it 5 stars, and I as well gave it 5 stars because the story, it was harrowing and just immensely beautiful at times, and just, it was so good. Like I said, if you think that this is something that interests you and you think you can kind of stomach the topics of human trafficking and life in North Korea and all that, I would definitely recommend it, because her story is just so powerful, and it's one I think definitely needs to be known by more. So anyway, that is my spoiler-free review for In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments down below some nonfictions that you guys have read and would recommend, especially biographies, because that's the type of nonfiction that I read the least. I definitely read other types of nonfiction more, but after reading this book, I want to get my hands on more. So let me know in the comments, like I said, if you have any to recommend for me. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!